Welcome to discussing my mood board for my fourth thingy. So I've done a mood board, which, in usual terms, gives a sense of how a movie is going to feel. But I'll just talk a little bit about the references as well, as it might help applicants or people who are going to work on it with me understand the kind of look and locations, as well as a kind of emotional feel of what the narrative will end up feeling like. So the thing that's kind of important in my basketball movie is friendship. So the kind of references I'm looking at for that is movies like Haine, City of Men, Juice, Shane Meadows' Romeo Brass, and of course White Men Can't Jump. They're all kind of friendships within a setting that's dictated by a sort of another set of rules, like City of Men, which is the TV show that follows on where City of God kind of finishes. I like very much how a lot of it's shot on handheld, but how the two kids, Acerola and Langier, are trying to avoid the gangs and getting in trouble, and a lot of the stuff that's happening with regards to the drug trade in the favelas is the backdrop of their friendship. Friendship in White Men Can't Jump's terrific one, as Billy and Sydney become friends throughout the course of the film, with pretty much the only thing they have in common being the sport, which I think is a fun character arc for friendship. In Haine, I think the friendships are kind of like pressurised and fractured, but I think they're fundamentally extremely funny relationships in Haine. There's lots of funny dialogue, and even when there's extremely serious subject matter, like the famous toilet scene, there is lots of humour and comedy, especially when they're talking about the train anecdote. Romeo Brass is a very I wouldn't say important, but it's one that I kind of resonated with me, as it's kind of set in the Midlands around the time when I grew up in the Midlands, and I see a lot of my childhood in it, not in the events necessarily, but in the kind of friendship that the two kids have together, and also how they become friends with someone who is in the film a bit of a joke, but then it turns out that it's a very serious, violent person, and that happens at the drop of a hat. It's not something you necessarily see coming. Juice is another fantastic friendship movie, I think. Omar Epps and Tupac Shakur's friendship being the kind of centre of it, and Raheem being the person who keeps them all together. But spoiler, once he is out of the movie, their friendship ends up getting tested very, very deeply. But I love how friendly they are with each other when they're hanging out, especially in the earlier scenes, and how they've got little schemes going on, like with Q selling his mixtapes to his friends because he's local, and them taking the records from the music shop, which I think is a really, really funny and fun sequence, knowing how shallow young people can be. Another thing that's kind of important when I'm thinking of my fourth thingy, my basketball movie, is how winning and losing is a thing to do that's a regular thing in sports films, and you have, the usual thing of like characters win the game but they lose a wider battle in their life, or they have to sacrifice something in their personal life to win. And I think this is best summed up in White Men Can't Jump, Rosie Perez's character. Their amazing dialogue about winning and losing, and it comes down to the fact that philosophically there are only events in life, and in some degree, it can be up to you as to how you're going to interpret and what you're going to take from those events. There's kind of lots of things I'm thinking about with regards to the plot of my fourth thingy and what's going to happen in it. But it's something that I've always very much liked about One Man Can't Jump, because, like lots of good comedy, you think that that's just a humorous sequence that tells us about how different Billy and Rosie Perez's character are, Gloria, the philosophy of Gloria Clemente. But as it turns out, it's basically the backbone of the entire movie. It tells you everything about what's going on in it. Characters, stuff in Haine, so the kind of how the characters in that and City of Men are extremely young and look young. They're not, maybe a little less so in Haine, where they possibly look like they're in their early 20s, but they're playing people that are younger. Like City of Men, for example, they are very, very young actors who are playing young characters, and that seems part of it. And same as in Romeo Brass as well. I think Del Boy and Rodney are important ones, because comedically Del Boy's always optimistic and positive, which I think Max Wedgie is always going to be. It's not going to be something that's necessarily like a quote-unquote deep or an axe that is ground throughout the movie, but like with Del Boy and Rodney, winning and losing is just a part of what they're doing, and nothing is going to dampen Del's outlook with regards to his future, because as him and Rodney say, there's always a way. Jesus Shuttlesworth is a good model for the character, in the sense that he likes playing basketball a lot and he's good at it. So I'm certainly not going to be getting Ray Allen, but I would like the character to be legitimately good at basketball and for the sport to be genuinely exciting. So the sequences where Max is playing games, I want them to work as exciting sequences in their own right. Because one of the things that bugs me about sports films is when the sport is a centrepiece of the film and part of the plot, and yet the actual sport itself is not that exciting to watch, and it's not filmed or shot very interestingly. There's not much in the shot construction. Another one character-wise is a BBC Three series. I always remember it as being called Model Behaviour, but I don't think it was called Model Behaviour, but it should have been. Where it was about local teens from Manchester who signed up, most of them on a whim, to be part of a new model agency that started. And it's sort of a little short three-part documentary following them on their exploits becoming models. And I think some of the characters in that, I see a lot of the kids I've played with in Failsworth and coached. I see a lot of that kind of like confidence and sense of humour, and also positive outlook in. So that's a fun one for sure. I think a lot about gender with regards to the movie, because I decided early on that this basketball movie is not going to be realistic, set in a realistic place. Like, it's not actually going to be set in Manchester in the sense that it's going to be particular places and true to a Manchester that I've lived in over the past, going on 20 years. And the sport basketball in my thingy is going to be mixed. and that's not going to be drawn attention to. That is just how the sport is played there. And I've met many a fantastic player, and the gender does not seem to bear that much relevance to how good they are at the sport, and also how reliable or how good they might be in front of a camera. So I think it doubles up my chance of casting someone fantastic, and also gives a sense of where I hope we are going in the future. Location, I've got quite a few locations on this mood board that are in Manchester, because the thing I like about Manchester, and I think is very different to American cities where things can be set, is everything is very close to each other. If you like walking, you can pretty much get anywhere on foot, and I would like that sense of a travelogue in Manchester to be a part of it. So not only the different areas, like in Platfields Park, it's got the gallery of costume, which looks like a kind of small stately home. That's walking distance to a basketball court. But also the geography that those two places are close to each other. The last thing I'd like to just draw attention to with regards to this mood board is the sport itself. I like basketball as a sport a lot. It's the only sport I've ever really played, but also as a sport to watch as well. I used to go to all the Riders BBL games at Granby Halls, and two people I think are very influential on me as a person is Riders guard Gene Waldron and their centre Dave Harris. Dave Harris still coaches a lot in Leicester, but not only just watching them as players, but they used to come and coach at Hermitage Leisure Centre in Whitwick, which was near where I lived, and used to go there and play after school on Fridays, and they used to come and coach. So we actually got, me and the other Colville Miners guys, Carl and Tom and Richard, we actually got to know them and would enjoy seeing them. We would ask them all sorts of questions about their careers and what it was like playing. And it was a very, very exciting thing, because it was like the thing you watch for entertainment, you would then get to do that very same thing with them, and they will give you pointers on playing and help you with like your footwork and your shooting skills and all sorts. So that's a big thing, that kind of closeness between the players and watching the sport for entertainment. Filmic references, I think a lot about Takeshi Kitano's films, mainly Sonatine, because I really, really like it how the film sets up that it's going to be a gangster film. Then they go to the small town, get bored, hang out on the beach and create their own games, and I like the sense that you see the friendships throughout that sequence, namely with them making the little paper guys of the boxers, and then they recreate it on the beach. So yeah, I think that just about covers the mood board. I'm just checking my notes, see if there's anything else. Oh yeah, black and white, that's what I was going to talk about. The film is going to be in black and white. There's several reasons for this. One, I like black and white movies to watch. Two, I think they're easier to make things that are in the present look banal and everyday, and actually make them look interesting and look a bit otherworldly, a little bit different. The kind of black and white films I'm thinking of are like deep focus ones like Paper Moon, but also sort of British films in the vein of Punch and Judy Man, and also ones like Raging Bull, where you see conversations and characters unfold in the black and white palette. There's also a practical reason for it, and if I'm shooting in black and white, I can shoot faster if I'm just thinking about brightness and contrast rather than colour and hue. So I think that pretty much brings my mood board video to a close. I hope you enjoyed it. Get in touch, I want to hear from you.